Thank you. So we're at the very end of what's called Perek HaMevi in Maseches Beitsa, the fourth Perek of Beitsa. We're about to finish it, Bezrat Hashem. We read the Gemora already. We're now trying to finish up with the Rashis, the last few Rashis in the Perek. And then we'll be able to say Hadron, at least on the Perek. And then hopefully someone has some cake to celebrate. If not, we might have to go out and buy some, or some schnapps. And then we can start the new Perek, Perek HaMashili. Okay. So we have the last point that Rabbi Yochanan was making was that even if you purchase an item, which the very fact that you purchase it might show how much you appreciate this item, but still, if it's an unfinished product, it's still patur and meiser. That's the fourth case where he brought this rule that if it's an unfinished product, it's patur and meiser. So even if you purchased it, turns out that makes it what? Still patur. Even if you purchased it. That's according to Rabbi Yochanan, but there is another opinion which the Gemora brings. Okay, let's see Rashi. Which Rashi should we start with? Let's say second line from the top. Halokeach te'enim mi'ama aretz.
Welcome Shirok Adam Darsin.
We've done that. What?
You have done a lot of these.
We've done a lot of these. So you want to start in the middle somewhere, or you want to just run through all of them?
No, Amaretz, we haven't gone through there.
So we're starting with Amaretz.
Okay. So this is after we brought the Mishnah where he bought from the Amaretz, and we said he's chayv and meiser, but only a demai type of meisering. But really he could have eaten from it without taking meiser should he have wanted to. So that proved like Rabbi Yochanan. And we said we learned from this three principles. One of the principles was Rov Amei Haaretz Meisering. That really, even if the Rabbanan make you take meiser from an Am Haaretz's produce, it's not because we really believe he didn't do it. Majority of them do. It's a chumrah midrabanan to take meiser from it. That's called demai. Says Rashi, what's the proof?
It's a Azdina Lakula.
What does that mean?
We're going Lakula, right?
Okay, but you know you're using Hebrew to explain Hebrew.
We'll be lenient.
Okay, now, mideh means what?
From that.
Which we mean to show something. In order to show, you have to add one more word. From the fact that.
From the fact that.
So we're trying to use one diuk to prove our point. From the fact that what? Azlinan Lakula. We are going. Who's the we? The Rabbanan. The Rabbanan are allowing us to go what? Lakula. What does that mean to go Lakula?
Lenient.
To be lenient. Okay? Where do we see that they let us be lenient over here? You know in the story where he bought it from the Amaretz, what would you say before the next line of Rashi that we see the Rabbanan allowing him to be lenient? Do you know where?
We accept that they will have taken Masa.
They may have.
Yeah.
In order to allow you to only take demai, right? Because that's a lesser form of meiser.
Right.
Okay, so let's see if Rashi says that. I think he's going to back you up on that. Dika Amar. So what's Dika Amar?
We say.
This is like a diuk. So can you show us this diuk? How do we know it's true? Because the Tana said
Ma'asrin Demai.
Ma'asron demai.
Ma'asron Demai.
What's Ma'asron?
They. Ma'asrin.
No, it's singular.
He Ma'asrin.
He meisers them.
He Ma'asrin them.
He meisers the te'enim demai. Does he have to do it right away? He said no. He's allowed to eat a snack from them without meisering.
What is diuk?
What?
What's the Kalmar diuk?
We're looking at what he said, and we're saying, did you notice that's called a cool? That's called a leniency.
Yeah.
Therefore, I see that the Tana made a leniency. We're saying, if you made a leniency, how can you make a leniency if you feel that nobody's taken meiser yet? You can't say, oh, I'll let you be lenient. If it hasn't been meisered, everyone has to meiser it. You know, not because I'm being lenient. I'm just telling you to meiser. He's not telling you to meiser. He's saying, meiser them demai. Is Meisering Demai the same as just Meisering?
No.
What's the difference? We said one difference might be the bracha, right? Maybe if you know it wasn't Meiser, you take and make a bracha. This time we're telling you not to make a bracha. Or maybe if you have a suffix, right? Let's say you're not sure if you Meisered it. So what should you do? Can you be lenient? So if it's Demai, then anyways it's just a Chumrah Midrabanan. Perhaps they let you be lenient in a suffix. I don't know, I'm just saying. Once it's called Demai, that's a leniency, Rashi says. Once you're telling someone, do take Meiser, but only the Meiser of Demai, that type of Meiser, where it's only a suffix and not even really a suffix. That's the point. If they told you you could take the kind of Meiser called Demai, that shows you that we really believe that the Amaras took Meiser already. Or else you wouldn't say take Demai, you would just take Meiser. He hasn't taken Meiser, you take Meiser. The very fact that we're telling you to take Demai, which Rashi says is a leniency, somehow it's a leniency to look at it as Chayiv only as a Demai type of Chiyuv, very light type of Chiyuv, not a real Chiyuv, a Rabbanan Chumrah Chiyuv. That tells you that it's only the Chumrah. That's what Rashi says next. The very fact that we're telling you to Meiser is Demai rather than regular Meiser, that tells you that it really doesn't necessarily need Demai. Meiser. So therefore we know that the fact that we're asking you to Meiser is only what?
A
general chumrah, meaning we'd like you to be machmir. Right? You don't really need to. Me'ikar adin, you don't need to. So why don't you need to be machmir me'ikar adin? Why don't you really need to be machmir here? Because they've already meiser. How do I know they've already meiser? Because majority of Amar is meiser. And this guy's an Amar, I assume he's from the majority. Therefore I can assume he's meiser. So why am I taking meiser at all? It's a chumrah.
Some people do that, don't they? Some people do that.
That's the point. If you buy from Amaretz, okay, so sometimes people do it just to be machmer. But the real chumrah is when you buy from an Amaretz that there are some who don't meiser. There really are some who don't. The majority do, but there really are some who don't. So normally, what do? Let's talk about following Rov. Normally, when I follow Rov, what am I saying?
Most people do take meiser.
Yes, but when I follow Azlina, I mean I'm following the Rov. There's a point. There's a Rov out there. But who says I should follow the Rov? You know where I know to follow the Rov? That I'm allowed to follow the Rov? The Torah says, Acharei Rabim Lahatos. You should incline after the Rabim. That tells us in a vote of Sanhedrin to go with the majority. It tells us in a bunch of places you rely on majority. It also tells us if you're not sure what's in front of you, Meiser, not Meiser, then I can rely on the Rov to tell me what happened. It's kind of like Nevuah. I don't know what happened. Let me ask the Urim V'Tumim what happened. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Oh, we don't have Urim V'Tumim. So what should we do? Rely on Rov. How do I know I'm allowed to rely on Rov? The Torah says, Acharei Rabim Lahatos, you're allowed to rely on Rov. But in the end of the day, when I rely on Rov, is it I really know that it really happened that way? No. You're relying on it, right? When you rely on something, it's like, okay, I'm just relying on like the doctor's opinion, but I don't really know, that it's true. I wish I did, right? But I don't. But I have to rely on something, so I'm relying on that. So the Torah allows you to rely on that. But at the end of the day, you don't really know. So it's a very strange situation. So in that situation, sometimes the Rabbanan say, since there are some people who don't meiser, you're allowed to rely on the Rov. Yes, you are allowed to rely on it, but we prefer if you don't. This is a chumrah because mi'ikar hadin, from the letter of the law, you're allowed to rely on Rov. The Torah said you're allowed to rely on Rov. But the Rabbanan are worried here just because even if when you rely on a Rov, you're not really clarifying the truth. You don't really know for sure, like you just said. Right? So I'm holding vegetables in my hand. Was it meisered already or not?
Go, go.
Rove tells me that what?
Yes.
I can rely on the assumption that they meiser.
Rely on assumption.
I'm allowed to rely on that assumption, okay? I am allowed. But will that give me a real assurance to know for sure what happened? Do I really know that I'm not eating tevel? No. So aren't you a little bit worried? Putting tevel in your mouth. What about all your learning? Right? You know what happens when you eat something that's usher?
Forget.
What?
If you eat a low level hechsher,
What happens to you?
you forget your learning.
Worse. It's metamtemis alev. It takes the heart and it like buries it.
Wow.
Metamtem. Right? In other words, a person can't think clearly.
If a person eats chalastam, is sometimes it's alive?
If it's for sure usher, then yes. If it's not, then it's not. I'm not posking here. Right? I'm just telling you the idea. The idea is, why would the Rabbanan want to be machmer? If the Torah let me be makel, are they stam like briskers? They're always machmer? Just, oh, it's always be machmer. No, they're not always machmer. The Rabbanan do let you rely on rove in many places, and they do let you rely on leniency, so why over here? Because apparently tevel is worse. Like you're ingesting in your body something that might be tevel. We prefer not to have all of Klal Yisrael putting themselves in that situation. Because in the end of the day, even if you do follow rove, which you're allowed to, but you don't really know what you're doing. It's a bit like pin the tail on the donkey. Right? I hope I'm doing the right thing. Right? Torah allows you, but it's a bit of a chance. So the Rabbanan say, please be machmir and take meiser again. But since it's the second time around, and according to the majority, it's already been meiser, right? You have certain leniency. Maybe you don't make a bracha, maybe in a suffix you don't have to rely on leniencies within that. So we're going to meiser it, but demai, which means you'll be makel in that chiyuv of meiser. So Rashi says, if we're allowing you to be makel and not really take meiser the right way, the normal way, then that's a sign that really it's only a chumrah. I don't really need you to meiser it. Why don't I really need you to meiser it? It must be the majority of Am Haaretz meiser. That's the proof over here. Yeah?
Yes.
So let's finish the Rashi then. So chumrah ba'almahi, it's just a mere chumrah.
The achmor va'afusher.
That they were machmir, the Rabbanan were machmir
Separate
to tell you to separate from a suffix, right? Because in the end of the day, even if you rely on rove, it's like walking, azlina. We're allowed to walk down that road called rove, but you don't really know, so it still remains a suffix, the truth is. So I told you, it's still a suffix in the end. Please meiser again. Shar maestros nech shadu alei. Not just the one meiser. Rashi's throwing in an extra little tidbit of knowledge here that even the other kinds of maestros, right? Meiser sheni, meiser ani, right? There's three types of meiser. Right? We're aware of that from the discussion we had the other day.
Yeah.
Every year, Meiser Rishon, except for Shemitah, of course. First 2 years of the Shemitah cycle, you're supposed to take the fruit up to Yerushalyim. That's an extra Meiser. After you've already given the Levi his Meiser, which is called Meiser Rishon, then Meiser Sheni, you're supposed to take up to Yerushalayim and eat it, or transfer the Kedusha to a coin, to coins, and you spend those coins on food in Yerushalayim. The third year of the Shemitah cycle, then you give it the extra meiser. You don't take it up to Yerushalayim, you give it to an ani, right? That's called meiser ani. And then the last 3 years, of the 6 years of the cycle, you do the same thing. 2 years, you take Meiser Sheni and bring it up to Yerushalyim. The 6th year, you take Meiser Ani. The extra Meiser is Meiser Ani, and you give that to an Ani. So all those extra Meisers, Meiser Rishon, and then either Meiser Sheni or Meiser Ani, depending on the year, all those, Rashi's saying, if the Amma Aretz is suspected, which I assume they are, once they're not going to take off one Meiser, they probably don't take off the other Meiser, so therefore all of them you have to be Machmer to take. According to this Chomer Midrabanan.
Makes sense, but how can you I know they took a Meiser, we didn't take a Meiser.
Again, it's a very funny balance here, because on the one hand, you know what it reminds me of a little bit is like we said earlier in the Masechta, we had a case, remember, where we said you could rely on Bittul Barov,
Yeah.
but you shouldn't rely on it if it's a Davar Sheyesh Lo Matiri.
Yes, because some people wait till after.
Yeah, it's like Rashi's wording was, why eat it now? Wait and eat a Beheter Gemora, right? Even though the Torah tells you you're allowed to rely on Bittul, the same idea, Bittul Barov. You're allowed to rely on Rov, Bittul Barov. But at the end of the day, still something usher in there. Like, why rely on that when you can just wait a little while? So the Rabbanan made you, again, Machmer, to wait until Motzi Yom Tov or Motzi Shabbos, to not have to rely on the Bittul. In any event, okay, so that's a chumrah. It's an important concept because you come up with this a few times here, there, and the other about Meisering Demai, and this Rashi was very, I think, good in explaining that, and that's what the Gemora says. We see that really, in the end of the day, most of the Amma Aretz used to Meiser, and therefore it's only a chumrah midrabanan to tell you to do Demai, Meiser Demai. Okay, let's see the next Rashi. Lafuke.
It's coming to school.
Now, what does this mean? Rabbi Yochanan, when he made his statement about you always need a finished product to be chayiv and meiser, even if it was Shabbos and this and that and the other, and even Mekach or Memchar, Mekach, all of those were said to exclude somebody, and this one, the Mekach one, was to exclude the following Mishnah, which we've already seen, the Tanakama of Rabbi Yehuda, who didn't pass on like Rabbi Yochanan. So Rashi says, who's reading the Rashi?
It's Rabbi Yochanan Kai.
What?
How is something never told in the Mishnah?
Are we just going to keep going? What does it mean, Ad Rabbi Yochanan?
On Rabbi Yochanan.
What does it mean? Kai. What's Kai?
Standing.
But it means it's going on.
Going on.
This little bit of Gemora is going back on the subject of what? Rabbi Yochanan. And his 4 things that he listed as being Pater and Meiser, even though, right, you might have thought they make it Chayim. So we're going back to the Rabbi Yochanan, that he said what? He said that what? Even if you purchase an item, it's still not Kaveya for Meiser, meaning still Pater for Meiser, as long as it's not a finished product. So on that, Rabbi Yochanan, our Gemora now is what?
Also, Shmuel teach us the Hilchasaki only the Ale.
That what? The halach Hilchasa means the halacha l'maisa. The real halacha l'maisa is what?
Like we say above.
Like we saw above, meaning we had already one Mishnah about the buying from the Amma Aretz, right?
Yes.
That one about buying from the Amma Aretz, and we'll just finish discussing. That's what we're trying to say now. We're going to see that the halacha is really like that. And what? To exclude this new mission which we're now about to bring. So That's what we're saying. The halacha is like the first Mishnah that we brought, and not like this new Mishnah that we're about to bring. What does it say in this new Mishnah? The people were what? They were swapping out their foods, their figs. And that is, Rashi says, that's a real sale. That's a real sale according to halacha. Most people might not call it a real sale or a purchase, but that's, when it comes down to it, it has all the trappings of a regular sale. So, the Tanakama said what? Doesn't matter what your kavanah is. If it's liktzos,
that means that it's not a finished product.
right, meaning if you want to make it into jam, then at this moment it's not a finished product. And even so, the Tanakama says what?
Chayiv.
It's still chayiv. And why would it be chayiv? It's not a finished product. It must be what?
The mekach kova afilu shlo nigmar. The sale is
Made it chashuv enough to be chayiv and meiser,
even if it's not a complete product.
even on this kind of a fruit that's not finished yet. So this is exactly what Rabbi Yochanan was fighting against, this opinion. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, if he bought it le'echol, then he is chayiv. Why? However, this guy, meaning this one guy who was trying to swap in order to eat the fruit, who was getting fruit in order to eat it, what did he want to do eat it? Then he is chayiv. He's chayiv and meiser. Why? L'didei,
according to him,
for his way of thinking right now at this moment in time,
it's a finished product.
right, it's a finished product because he'd like to eat it, so it's ready to eat. It's a finished product, which is what we originally called dates, finished product. Okay, so not only is it a finished product, it's a finished perik. What are we saying? Finish a perik? Hadron lach hamevi, hadron lach mevi, hadron lach mevi, hamevi hadron lach, hamevi hadron lach, hamevi hadron lach. That's what I was told to do. You know what it means, hadron? We will return. Right? It's like some people look at it as a threat. I shall return. But in terms of learning, it's a promise to chazer. We shall return. Meaning, this isn't it. We're not saying goodbye to Perek HaMevi. We're going back soon. When are we going back? Hopefully Shabbos, Bein Hazmanim, 3 weeks to chazer.
What is purchasing make it kashrut?
Make it?
Kashrut. Why does it give it
Well,
kashrut?
I'm not assuming that that's the real reason, but let's just suppose that.
So people, right?
Okay. But what I'm saying is that a lot of these things, if you go through a lot of the Rashis back and forth, you see Rashi's always injecting the Indian of Chashivus. And it seems like finished product, in a sense, is like a shear. It has to get to that point to be chayiv. That's like a shear.
But many people are on speculation about unfinished products. That's called speculating.
Okay, you're talking about, big purchases and big,
Not like my wife who bought she bought green bananas. She put them in the sun and they become ripe in a week.
Here is saying, the point is, everybody.
No, they will be important, but they're not
Okay,
important.
but the idea of importance to you at this moment in time, it could be that once you purchase it, it has a greater significance in your mind than if you never purchased it. Having invested money, having invested time and energy in the money involved in purchasing it, it brings it up to a new level of appreciation in your mind. Yes, it's not finished, that's the whole idea. It will have to wait till something happens. All these cases are, the whole discussion is always on an unfinished product. So whoever tells you that mekach makes it, it means that even though I know it needs more work, it needs more processing or whatever, or like you said, ripening, perhaps even, I'm not sure if that, by the way, we call lo nigmar luck, it has to ripen. I'm not sure. Perhaps, I'm not sure. Because there you don't have to do an action. most of the case we have it needs an action. But you could say maybe the raisins on the roof is a proof. Because there, it doesn't really need an action, it just needs more time in the sun. So maybe you're right, maybe even without an action. But the point is that it is a machlokes, so it's not like your problem with this is wrong. I mean, Rabbi Yochanan agrees with you, right? So let's not forget that the way you're thinking is correct according to certain people. But we're just trying for a moment to sort of let go of that way of looking at it, Rabbi Yochanan's way of looking at it, and saying, I could hear that in some people's mind, as soon as they buy something, it's like Chazal say, pas basalo. When you have bread in the basket, it means I have it. I have it now, I feel so much happier, I feel so much more at ease because I don't have to worry about it anymore or whatever. So by you, it's raised up to a whole new level of appreciation. So perhaps that makes it as appreciated and chashuv enough to be, well, we keep using the word koveya. So somehow I like to work that word, to get that word in there. It's becoming a permanent part of your life. Right? All these cases are also connected to the idea of being koveya for Meiser. Koveya as opposed to a ride. So it seems that till it's a finished product, who says you'll really hold on to it? Maybe you'll never even get the chance to use it. Maybe you'll give it away. Maybe you'll throw it away. I don't know. It's lacking permanence. That's why perhaps you keep using this word koveya for Meiser. It's a hard word to use because if you tend to want to say it's chayv and Meiser. This makes it chayv and Meiser. But we keep saying it's koveya for Meiser. So I keep thinking that we have to try to work in that idea of being permanent. That usually if it's a finished product in your storage facility, that's certainly a permanent part of your life. If it's the other end of the spectrum, it's in the field and it's an unfinished product, that's very temporary, right? That's like, who says you'll really end up having a connection to this produce? Maybe you'll just leave it out in the field for all we know. So if you think of those are the two extremes, and everything in between is like a gradation on a spectrum. More and more permanent part of your life, more and more closer to that idea of, or that ideal of finished product in your storage house. And then there's the other end of the spectrum, unfinished product in the field. Well, then there's all this stuff in the middle. We say, it still has a way to go, but it's still much closer to being permanent. So maybe we can just already say it's achieved a permanence. If we use that word of Chazal, in koveya for Meiser, perhaps that helps us as well to understand a bit more of all these different ways of looking at it. Taking Truma on the pile can help, and Shabbos can help, all these things can help, because in a certain sense they make it more of a permanent part of your life. Perhaps that's a good way to think about this other shita. At the end of the day, though, Rabbi Yochanan is convinced, and seemingly, from just the way the parak ends, so much in the brain of Rabbi Yochanan, sounds like we pass like Rabbi Yochanan. So whether or not we do, but I'm just saying it certainly would be easier to talk about if we do. So like the halakha really is, or Rabbi Yochanan says the halakha really is, that you need to have finished product. At the end of the day, no matter what happens, it needs to be a finished product. Other than that, without that, you can't ever call something permanent. It's not a finished product. I guess because who knows what's really going to happen to this. Maybe you'll throw it out before. Like green bananas do not always turn yellow, right? Sometimes they end up being disgusting, so I know with an esrog it's certainly true. I've had an esrog that was green and the guy said it's going to turn yellow and never did. They always say put it in with an apple, put it in with this, whatever. But
same with mangoes.
Then you have the opposite problem sometimes, and then you have people who have it, they are already yellow, and you want to say, bring a few birds in, put it on his stomach.
It happens a lot with avocados. People buy avocados hard.
Sometimes they never properly, they stay hard, or they turn into this weird, foul stuff.
And start to sprout.
Yeah, so I guess with bananas it's less common for that to happen, but I remember working on a kibbutz actually, where they cut down the huge bunches of bananas, and it fell upon the shoulders of the volunteers, most of them chutznikim, who just came for their experience, and ended up breaking their shoulders and breaking their backs to carry these bananas around. And they really are disgusting things when they're green. There's these tiny little things that are like daggers, really. And often they don't ripen. But I guess the ones I sell in the store are more prone to ripen. Not every banana does. Okay.
Very nice.
In the meantime, shall we try our luck in the next parak?
Should we assume something?
I mean, if you had some cake, we should eat it, or some schnapps, but if not, unless you want to run to the store and get it. But,
Tomorrow drink you want to look at it.
I have water, I'm fine, but if you want to get something, I would not stop you, because
Why not?
if you look back later and you say, it was so much fun finishing that parak, I want to do it again, then it's worth it.
Why not? It's small. Should be like one small drink or take it.
It's up to you. I'm going to go to the bathroom
What do you think?
and turn off the videotape for a minute or two.
Superior?
Sorry?
Do you like it superior?
Yeah.